Banter. Balls and banter. No excuses, just win, win, win with your balls and banter. We got balls, we got pucks, we got sticks, we got everything in between. We got balls and banter.
All right, folks, Happy New Year. So good to be back with you. Hope the new year is off to a great start. Slightly delayed in getting back. We planned to get back a little bit earlier, but we had a lot going on. Myself, Tom, taking part in a new show, No Party Affiliations, with some buddy Chris Hambrock and Brandon Gresham. Tommy boy, I think it's going pretty well. You should check that out, by the way. New episodes Wednesdays. The new one drops tomorrow, I believe. You're looking very dapper, might I say.
I'm trying to match the theme song.
Yeah, well, you did. You matched it. The question is what's on? Yeah, you got something underneath. Okay. It's good. No, I think it's been fun. No Party Affiliation's been fun. Look, if you want, we're still going to do some new stuff. We're going to do some new stuff here in a second. You know, obviously there's some stuff I'll get to in a moment as it pertains to some of the rebrand that's happening here. But if you want some real takes, new stuff, some conspiracy, all of that, No Party Affiliation is the place to get that. So definitely check that out. But like I said, first couple episodes going well. You'll love the other guys. We can, David, if you can throw the chat, the link in the chat.
Just did.
Awesome. You can check it out there. That's one. There'll be more coming out. You can see it on all the different platforms, so wherever you want to watch it. Then other thing, lots of adjustments. You saw the wide. You saw everything that's kind of happening here in the studio. This is part of the reason it got delayed. Construction always goes slower than you anticipate. So slight rebrand. Let us know what you thought of the new intro music. I think we all like it. Tom certainly likes it. He's in character for it today, for the love of Pete. But let us know what you think of the set, the sound. Again, Balls and Banter just kind of fits more what we're doing, what we've been doing. Sports, stories, culture, entertainment, all of that. So we're not really changing a whole lot. We just have made some minor changes with the name, the theme song. Everything else, pretty much the same. Wouldn't you say, Tom? I think you're muted.
I'm sorry. Can you go back to the two-shot where I'm in the screen?
Yeah, give me a second.
Look at this. The liar inside my head.
I wanted to showcase this. This is Tom's new Substack today. It came out, so check it out. When that email got sent today, I was like, "What's Tom doing?"
Well, I mean, I'll just give you a quick briefing on it. I have a friend of mine who, Drew, and I believe David, you know as well. He's been going through his own sort of, he's been walking his own spiritual path. And he was like, hey, man, you should check out this seminar on Sunday. It was this past Sunday. It has to do with the 12 steps for Alcoholics Anonymous. He said, but it's not like, it's not sponsored by Alcoholics Anonymous. They just dissect the 12 steps. And since being Sunday, and it was playoff Sunday, it went from 2 to 6. And I was like, all right, well, I'm kind of, all right, I'm interested because I always like to learn new things. And so I tuned into it at 2:00 and I was like, all right, I'll do 2 to 3 and then bug out as soon as the game starts, the Patriot Bronco game.
Okay.
But I got hooked and I started learning things about Alcoholics Anonymous and the 12-step program that I didn't expect. And so I stayed the entire time and it went a little bit longer. It went 4.5 hours. And I was so, engaged with what was going on and the speakers that were out there and, all the messages that they had, that after it was done, I watched the second game and I couldn't get it out of my head. And so I went to bed and I couldn't sleep and I got up at 4 and I was like, I got to write this down. I got to write down what I'm thinking because everything, for a lot of us, everybody has their own sort of, path that they're on. And sometimes you fall off your path. And what I learned through the 12 steps, it's just not about addiction. It's kind of a formula to in a way to, readjust your life in general.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't watch the seminar, but like I think that's the principles and the understanding that I have of a lot of it, because it goes deeper than that. Yeah, it's the whole picture, right? The whole picture.
Yeah. I do
And
like
if you're
that
ever on
shot where I'm in the screen.
This one, yeah, we were working on that.
Because I feel like I'm right here with you guys.
You are. You are. And then when you're actually here, you'll be over here. And there's some new characters that are going to get worked in here in the days and weeks ahead. Folks that'll be bringing different expertise on sports, on culture, all sorts of stuff that'll be cycling through, not necessarily everydayers. We just wanted to get back today. We have some other things we're still working on, but we wanted to get back to you guys, the audience, since it's been a minute over the holidays and into the latter part now of January. So it's a good set. It's a good setup. We're excited about the things that are going on. Let's get into some news, though, real quick before we lose everyone. There's people who are here for the first time like, this is a cool set. This is a cool this, cool that. What do they talk about? Well, we talk about all sorts of stuff. My home state, Minnesota, has some stuff going on, I guess you could say. And look, I'm gonna tell you right off the bat, we're not gonna go super deep dive into this today. We're just not. There's lots of other stories, some news, some sports, lots of sports that I want to get to. But we definitely should touch on it because obviously it's a big national conversation that's happening. Obviously, protests been running rampant. You had the white chick get killed a couple weeks ago. Fast forward to this past week, and Alex Preddy gets shot by CBP. And, man, things have ramped up again big time. As we talk about a lot on the show, I would caution you to not necessarily focus on picking sides or this, that, and the other right now, but look, take a step back from Preddy, take a step back from White Chick, I forget her name. Take a step back from all of that and look at what's going on there and just understand that we talked about this actually on the episode that's going to air tomorrow. We've actually talked about it on both episodes of No Party Affiliation, that none of this stuff that you're seeing there is organic. Doesn't mean that tragedies don't happen, mistakes don't happen. Again, not going to really even dive into the shooting because it's such a muddy mess, snowy mess, I guess, in this case. But this whole thing that's happening there, it's there's a lot of parts of it that are designed to make you feel the way you do. Whether you are, I hate ICE and CBP, or whether you are, I hate those guys, I'm glad that he was shot. Hopefully you're not, wherever you are. The feelings that are out there are being put out there for you to have. Right, Tom? I mean, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely. They're being put out there to continue the giant chasm that we have in this country. And for me, putting on my conspiratorial hat, it all has to do with this sort of revolution that we're going through in this country. Yeah. It's not a hot revolution. It's a cold revolution. We're seeing, the Bolshevik side of the country starting to take over. And when I say Bolshevik side, I don't mean just the left. I also mean elements of the right. I'm talking more of like the big government, the centralized form of power within the government. And so it's the everything that's going on in Minnesota, like you said, I agree with you, is not organic. That doesn't mean that tragedies do happen and people are going to get killed. That's all part of this Bolshevik process that we're going through. It's to increase the emotion of people who are invested in this. It's to get the government to just stop so the Bolsheviks can have a win and be able to be emboldened and move on with what they want. And there are, like I said, elements of the Republican Party that want that as well, that want this sort of centralized power. Because you look what happened. What was the big story that was going on before everything touched off in Minnesota? It was Epstein.
Well, yeah, you could say Epstein. You could even fast forward to Minnesota and daycare fraud in Minnesota and how broken everything was. Is anyone talking about daycare and fraud and Tim Walz and all that in Minnesota anymore? No, they're not. They're talking about protests. They're talking about ICE. They're talking about Alex Preddy. Talking about gun control. They're talking about all the different things, right? Those stories are gone. They'll come back, but see what's happening with all of this. Pay attention.
Yeah, it's by design. I think.
I do too. At least a lot of it. Not all of it. That was a messy situation the other day. Not going to dig into it too much. We got into it a little bit more on No Party Affiliation if you want to check out that conversation. But so that's not fun. But I do want to address something that was fun, because there's a lot of fun that did happen during the break. We're entering into very soon in the next couple of weeks here, the darkest of all dark seasons where football goes away. We've already lost college football. I will wear black.
You're already wearing black.
No,
we need to get you a veil.
Yes. Please. I'll happily wear it. But man, while we're on break over the holidays, as you all saw, Indiana University, I'll say this again out loud just because I know it's like a shock. Indiana University won the college football national championship. The freaking Hoosiers winning the big game over Miami. Curt Cignetti, 27-2 in 2 years. 27 in 2 years there. I mean, you kind of thought maybe last year, okay, their schedule was what their schedule was, not super strong. Then they go and they lose in the playoffs, and okay, whatever. Still was an impressive year. Then you fast forward, and this is the scene. You're watching Curt Cignetti saying, I'm going to have a beer and celebrate and get back to work because they've won the national championship, and it still just blows my mind. And I think that this team, when you look at it, you look at the fact they had no 5 stars, a bunch of it's, the Island of Misfit Toys, and they rallied together. They bought into Coach Cignetti and his staff. They bought into the system, and they raised up the college football national championship as a 16-0 team. One of the most remarkable sports stories ever.
It is. From a producer standpoint, this has to be a movie. And unfortunately, the lead characters aren't what Hollywood is looking for.
No.
Unless you recast it. But, both the stories of Curt Cignetti and also Fernando Mendoza on their own are both very inspiring stories. You have one guy who came from, his dad, in the case of Cignetti, he comes from a coaching family. He's from the Nick Saban coaching tree.
Yep.
And he really took some, I don't really want to say low level, like low tier jobs as far as head coaching did. It just put his nose to the grindstone. And then each opportunity he got, he made the most of that opportunity. And, it got him to Indiana, which, Indiana is known for having the worst football program in the history of college. And he took them to an undefeated national championship, which is amazing. And it's refreshing to hear stories like that, because the whole sports landscape has changed, where it's like, if you're born with natural talent, you kind of refine it a little bit, and then you get thrown into the spotlight and tons of money. And here we have somebody who totally went the way different route of just working your ass off, which, is an inspiring story all on its own. And the same thing with Mendoza, being a 2-star recruit and not even being given the opportunity to be a walk-on at Miami.
Right. No, I mean, it's a wild story. And for one, we've got to eat crow, because we talked about early on, and we've eaten crow since multiple times, but we talked about the fact that no team in this new era, with the parity that exists and the portal and everything, is going to go undefeated. Well, we got that dead ass wrong. Not only did it happen on a couple occasions, but it happened with a team that no one would have ever seen going 16-0. They didn't just run the table for the regular season. They ran the whole damn table. They beat Oregon twice. They beat Ohio State, Alabama, Miami. I mean, an amazing freaking run by those guys. And it really does. I tell you what, here's the thing. Whether you're a Hoosiers fan or you're not, I think most people like this story. But if you're a fan out there, more importantly, a coach or a player, this is like proof positive that you can say, why not us? And yeah, you got to go get some Daddy Warbucks people involved in the program and help boost things up. Not that that's the exact model and method that Indiana did, but whether it's through the portal, whether it's through the Indiana model, you can do it. Like there's a path forward for teams to do this, and it's fun to see. It's fun to see. Okay, let's stay with college football for a second. So,
yeah, Drew, just real quick, this thought just popped into my head. Okay, imagine you're a Hollywood producer, minus the whole kind of darkness of Hollywood, but like a traditional Hollywood producer, and you're going to greenlight a movie. and it's going to be about the Hoosiers. Do you base the story around Signetti, or do you base the story around Mendoza? And you can only pick one of those narratives. The other one's going to be a peripheral one, but you got to pick the main narrative of your film.
I think that you got to go Signetti. Here's why. One, he's the architect. He's the coach behind it. You know, Mendoza's gonna move on. Yeah, he had a hell of a year. He won the Heisman. That's how it works in college. You play we're going to talk in a couple. You play 4 or maybe 7, 8 years, and then you move on. But I think it's got to be him because he's the architect. And 2, I think it'd be so hard to cast Fernando Mendoza because he's not a gripping character. He's a great example, and it seems to be, by all accounts, a great young man, talented kid. But he's not like a sexy figure in terms of on the field or off the field. The way he talks, it's like maybe he's on the spectrum, as opposed to Signetti, where it's like we can cast a badass A-list actor in this role and make it really good.
That's where you take liberties with Hollywood. And you just say,
they do.
We're going to make him sexy, even though he wasn't.
But Jamie Foxx is going to play Fernando Mendoza.
But you know what? If you're somebody like Timothy Chalamet, and I come to him and I say, I want you to play the part of Fernando Mendoza, but you got to stick. I'm going to write it in a way where I'm going to capture the essence of Fernando Mendoza. You're going to spend time with him. And the way that I write this and the story that we're going to tell about Fernando is going to get you an Academy Award nomination and stick to his character that way. I do think that you could get like an A-list actor to play that role.
Him. If it's that guy. If Chalamet.
Or Teller, Miles, maybe.
I think Miles is too cool.
Okay.
He'd be great too. He's a phenomenal actor. Chalamet is perfect for this because he's kind of an odd duck. He's so talented, so good at everything he does. Miles probably can throw a better football, is just my guess. I might be so wrong. Chalamet might have been a baller in high school, and I apologize if you were. Loved you in Wonka, love you in Dune, love you in pretty much everything you do.
He's got a really great scope when you think about what Chalamet has done.
Yeah.
You're like, wait, Dune from Wonka?
Yeah.
Yeah, and he nailed it. Both of them.
I don't know that I've seen something he didn't nail.
All right, just imagine this then.
Okay.
So imagine the TV screen coming on, you fade up from black, and you hear a voiceover saying, the most overused line that you hear coaches say is, coaching is in my blood. And then you cut to a practice field, and you hear a whistle blow, and you see a shot of a little kid's face who's watching a high school or a college practice. And then you hear a voice go, Kurt, go pick up the footballs. And then the voiceover goes, in my case, it was real. And then you start off the movie with the flashback, and then you come on to, your whole narrative course from there.
Well, let's storyboard this thing and get it out of the way. It's already starting.
Well, when you think about,
want to donate to the production, to our pre-production, the Patreon will be listed down below.
Well, when you think about
set that up.
When you think about how remember the Titans, who was the narrator of that movie? What were the eyes? What was the scope? You're seeing it through the daughter, if you remember.
Yeah,
she starts it, but then obviously it changes and you see it from many different scopes. But what a way to do that. Yeah. I think that was fantastic. So it's the same way you could do the same thing where all of a sudden it's like a kid talking, but then it's Signetti.
Brandon from MPA saying, Fernando Mendoza is totally sexy, bro. Don't know what you're talking about. We all have our things.
Yeah.
Like, everyone's yeah. So
we all have our kinks.
Yeah. He's not a bad looking dude. I think he's actually a very handsome dude. It's just when he talks, it's like, whoa. Slow down, tone it down a notch. Like your excitement, like your NFL locker room. Like, what he kind of reminds me of? They don't look anything alike, but he's kind of got the Kirk Cousins thing going where it's like, you're going to drive a minivan, aren't you? Like you're going
just
to
like a homely guy.
Yeah. Just a very, and I think it's great. I would prefer homely over gangster. But at any rate, okay, back on track, college football. So there's lots of, even though it's over, there's lots of spiciness still happening. We got the portal stuff. We're going to show you some. Tom, did you see the Dabo Swinney thing yet?
No, I haven't.
Oh, it's great. We're not going to play the whole damn thing 'cause it's long. But the so all the stuff that comes along with the portal and NIL, it's the Wild West. Lots of it's bad. There has to be guardrails, right? There's things that have to be fixed. There's some good plans out there. We've talked about some of them. We'll talk about more of them a different day, not today. We don't have time. But Deion is going to treat this in Boulder like the kids are pros, because the kids are everyone's getting paid now, right? Everyone's getting paid. Everyone's, got this different experience than certainly different than what I experienced. So different. Man, it's different. But they're all getting paid. So Deion's like, okay, I want some accountability from you guys. You're going to now get fined, and you can see it on your screen based on things that happen. You could just some example. You're late to practice, $500. I think that's actually really low. Some people are like, you can't find these kids. Like, hell yeah, you can. Some of these kids make more than assistant coaches. No show, $2,500. What's that? Late to meeting or film, $400. No show, meeting or film session, $2,000. Late to conditioning, $1,000. I was telling a story the other day.
$1,500 for late to conditioning.
Late to conditioning, yeah. No show conditioning, $1,500. I had after my short never was has been career at Michigan, got hurt, and I went out to Northern Arizona for a little bit. We got the Northern Arizona pennant up there too. And I think I told that story. Compliance jacked everything up there too, and it ended up just being a failure. Apparently, I was not supposed to play major college football. But my roommate and I, my good buddy, dear friend to this day, we're going to. We had hung out late that night. He'd slept at my apartment, and we're going to winter workouts in the morning. You do not show up late. It's like being in the military. If you're not early, you're late. And it's a huge blizzard because this is Flagstaff, right? It's not normal Arizona. It's like basically it's damn near Colorado. Yeah. So we're driving. We hit some ice. I grew up in Minnesota. I didn't drive in Minnesota, but I grew up in Minnesota. I'm used to being around snow. I know how to drive, but I hit a patch of ice that day. We slid hard as shit into this curb, and the car's like all jacked up. We're gonna be late for workouts. So you know what we did? We left that sumbitch in the road, and we ran through the snow to get to workouts, so we weren't late. I think we might have still been late. And those makeup workouts are so terrible when you're made an example of. But I was telling my mom that story the other day. I was like, yeah, we just left the thing. It's like, and then we came back, and it was gone. It's like, well, shit. Okay, I don't know where it is, and we got to figure out how to get home. But then later in the day, here's the weird thing. I promise I wasn't doing mushrooms or LSD or any of that stuff. We go back, and it was there.
This is like a dude, where's my car situation.
It was. It was like, it still boggles my mind to this day. People are like, that's not true. I mean, clearly, like, we missed it somehow. Maybe there was something in the way. I don't know. But
or your timeline shifted. And when you came back at that specific timeline after practice, the shift had happened and the car was already moved, because in the other timeline, you actually drove the car to practice and drove home. But when you walked, it shifted again and it was gone.
Now we can mark.
Yes, that is a possibility.
Now we can mark we can tick off conspiracy theory stuff in the show for today.
Yes, we can. The tinfoil hat's back behind your
still
desk.
Here.
Yes. Yeah, it's over there.
I think that fine list that Deion has. There's a couple of reactions that I have to it. One is this must be a huge problem, and I don't think it's just centered at Colorado. I think you would see something like this with pretty much 90% of all your top flight college programs, that they're running into issues like this that involve discipline, especially
Absolutely.
Time.
Yeah.
And being late or not showing at all. Secondly, if I'm somebody who's on the team and, my NIL is 20 grand and I end up showing up late or a no-show for something and I'm fined $2,000, that's 20%. So who's going to advocate for me to try and not be bullied by the coaching staff, either if it is my fault or not my fault or whatever? So what I see ultimately end up happening is if you go down this route, then at some point the players are going to have to unionize, because they're going to need representation if they're being fined, because then just hear me out, because then that's a whole other, when you start, when you're paying people to do a job for you and then you start penalizing their pay, where are they going to get that money back? It's coming out of their pocket. And, is there proof? Is it justified? I don't know. That's not up to me. That's between the player and the coach or somebody else advocating for me. So I just see this, as two things. One, being a huge potential problem down the road, and two, being a huge problem right now that has to be addressed in this manner.
Well, yeah. You've got a question real quick, and then I'll share my 2 cents.
Yeah, well, my question is with the NIL and all this stuff, so the money's coming from brands, not the school.
Well, a lot of donors.
Yeah, but I'm saying, so what's stopping the schools from saying, I'm not going to give you a full ride anymore because you have this NIL deal? Like, some players get called to say, hey, we're going to pay your whole ride to come here. That's not the NIL, right? That's a totally different scenario. That's their college.
Correct.
So what's stopping the school from saying, well, they're making more than this, we should just have them pay for it out of their pocket?
Well, at some point, I think that's a
it's
possibility.
Going to have to get to that.
Because here's the thing. If you, the concern is all the money goes to football because football makes all the money. Sorry, that hurts your feelings, people out there who like, field hockey and stuff like that. But football makes all the money. Basketball makes the second most amount of money. And then for some big schools, like Minnesota, Michigan, some of those schools, hockey brings in a decent amount too. But it's nowhere near the level of those.
Even baseball's low.
So, yeah, but it's better in the Southeast, but comparatively speaking. So everyone's saying, well, this is going to ruin all those other sports. Well, so eventually you got to say, okay, well, we're going to take away something and make this money. You're a quarterback. You're making $4 million this year. You're paying your own tuition. Yeah. Like you're paying $80,000 for tuition. Suck it up. Like that's real life. That'll get sorted at some point when Nick Saban takes over and we get this whole thing fixed.
Still pushing for him.
Yeah, it's got to happen. Otherwise, I am open and available to do it, and I would pour everything I've got into it. But here's what I like about this. I agree. At some point, they're probably going to be employees. Agree, disagree. The course we're on, essentially, that's kind of where it's going. I think it should be worked in. There's probably going to be a union, Tom, but it should be worked into their NIL agreements. Like, here's the deal: you're getting paid this, but you F up here, and here are the repercussions. What I like about this is, and by the way, I think there should be one on there. You missed class. We had class checks. You'd show up to class because you don't know if the special teams coordinator or the strength coach is waiting outside your class to make sure that you and your 4 teammates were in there. And if you weren't, you're
for the entirety of the class, not just the beginning.
Look how many online classes there are now. And
I know
no
that
way
changes.
to police that.
There's no way to police. But here's what I'm trying to get at. The bigger point is with all this money, with the transfer portal, all of this, I don't see there being some of the tried and true things that they came with football: discipline, accountability, turning men into champions of men, not necessarily champions on the field, ideally both. So I can respect what Deion's trying to do here. Is it the right way? Is it the right figures and amounts for the fine? I'd argue they're too low, but if you're going to do it at all. But I do like that it's like, okay, hey, you want to be a big boy? You want to drive an Escalade and have a 4-bedroom condo in Boulder? Then you show your ass up to practice, and you do so on time, and you show up to meetings and to treatment, and you show up to study table. You show up to all the things you're supposed to do, or you're gonna face some consequences.
It's preparing them for the NFL.
It's preparing them for NFL, but here's the thing. This amount of people make it to the NFL. That's what no sport more than football prepares you more. And some people will disagree with me on that, but whatever. It's my show. It prepares you for life. And I think that when you go into all this NIL portal stuff and there's no commitment to teams, there's kids. We're talking about TJ Finley going to his 7th team as a college. We're losing all the stuff that football used to give you. You'd get out and you'd be like, okay, I played at this school, and this school has great boosters and alums, and they love that you played there. So you're going to get some good job opportunities, and you've got a degree. Now I'm not loyal to any team. If I show up late to practice, so what? I make more than the special teams guy, the linebackers coach, whatever. What's he going to do? So I like any incremental change we can do to fix that. Because otherwise we've just got 137 schools where it's just basically Lord of the Flies.
Yeah.
Right. Well, to me, one of the things that has to be done and has to be done quickly is this antitrust suit has to be settled with the NCAA. Because once that gets settled, because the Supreme Court has already ruled in favor of college athletes. So now something has to be done to set up some sort of guardrails.
Right.
Once those guardrails are in place, then you have the beginnings of some sort of system and some sort of framework that you can work inside of and figure this out. Until that gets settled, then it's going to be harem scarum kind of, pluck this guy, take this guy, pay this person that. But moreover, I know that we talk about, preparing these kids for the NFL and so forth. But it's more than that, because a lot of these kids that are coming into a college environment, and this is the first time dealing with this kind of money. So now all of a sudden you throw down a big bag of money in front of them. There's not going to be, much discipline. There probably wasn't much discipline for them, depending on who their coach was coming up in high school. There may not have been any discipline inside the household that they came from. So with Deion taking such drastic measures as this, it makes me feel, at least in his case, he's signed on to something that wasn't prepared for, didn't actually see coming, and is now trying to have to deal with it. And I think colleges all over the country, football programs, are in the same boat with Deion.
Yeah. I think you're absolutely spot on that. I think there's obviously some programs that are run better. I don't think that you're having kids skip practice and film at Indiana at some of these schools that are clearly set up well. You didn't have that under Saban. If it's a well-coached team, it's a well-oiled machine. You see it on the field and you see it off the field as well, in terms of the kids and the culture and the character that's there. But yeah, I think it is pretty rampant because, again, there's no standards, there's no discipline anymore. You've got all these rules changing. By the way, you can now play up to 9 games in a redshirt season. It used to be 4, and still keep that redshirt. So you can really test the waters now, which almost ensures that a lot of people are going to play for sure 5, which used to be pretty standard. Or it could be someone like TJ Finley, everything changing with this. Look at this. Look at this graphic here. This next one here, David, put that up. So he's committed now to go to, I forget where it is. And I can't see that logo on this screen here, but it's a smaller school. So this is you can count it on the bottom. LSU, Auburn, I think, is that Texas State? I can't, Tulane, Western Kentucky. I've got a glare. Here, it's over here now. And then Georgia State. And then I still can't see what that last one is, but the point is, the kid's not had a successful career wherever he's gone now. Is he making money wherever he goes? Is he giving himself more of an opportunity? Yes. Is he not giving up? There's a lesson in that. Absolutely. Sure. But your 7th school, this is you have perennial backups in the league who are second year or second string guys, maybe third in some cases, who stick around. It's a great payday. I'm going to play 10 years and get paid a decent check, rarely take a snap. That doesn't happen in college. You play your 4 years, 5 if you redshirt, 6 if you medical redshirt too, and then you're out. And that used to be a rarity where you had that many years. This to me, it's just wild. It's just wild to see. I'm at my 7th school, and again, what do you? There's a bunch of people who are making hilarious videos out there now. Maybe you've seen some where they've made it to the NFL, and obviously it doesn't actually work because when you do the player and starting lineup announcements on games, on Monday Night Football, they just say whatever they want. They say one. And it could be sometimes they say their high school. But it's people saying, all the places they played.
He's going to be like LSU, Auburn.
Yeah.
So there's the one he's at, and I don't know if I'm going to say it, but it's in San Antonio, Texas. It's Incarnate Word.
Incarnate Word.
Yeah,
that's right. Incarnate Word. Yep, that's right. Incarnate.
Yeah, sorry.
You sound like Incarnate.
Yeah, Nacho Libre.
Yeah. Okay, let's get to this. This is real juicy. We can't play this whole clip. I don't even know if we're allowed to play this clip, but I don't give a shit. So
great.
So Dabo obviously struggling in the NIL portal era. Hell of a coach, amazing person, head football coach at Clemson. He picks up this young man, Luke, who's linebacker, who's coming from Cal. Pretty well sought after. Cal had a surprisingly decent year. Sought after player. Commits to Clemson. Comes to Clemson, enrolls at class in Clemson, is taking class at Clemson as part of the football program, and still, just days later, Ole Miss and their new coach, Pete Golding, and all of them are going after trying to get him away from Clemson and down to Oxford. Dabo brought receipts. Again, this is the long clip. I encourage you to go watch it because it's actually pretty damn compelling and really damning if you're a hotty-toddy guy. But listen to this.
The agent, Ryan Williams, calls Jordan Sorrells. And during that conversation, Ryan conveys that Ole Miss has been coming hard after Luke. Sorrells confirmed, he went with the agent, he said, are you talking about the same Luke that's been enrolled at Clemson, that's been in class, that's moved here, that's signed with Clemson? And the agent assured him, yes, the same one. But he also assured Jordan Sorrells that Luke had no intention of leaving Clemson, but just thought y'all should be in the loop and check up on him tomorrow. So Thursday, January 15th at 11:45 a.m., just this past, Thursday, Jordan came to me, and he told me about the conversation that he had the night before with the agent at 9:49. And so I told Sorrells, I directed Sorrells, hey, you reach, I don't know, I said, who's their GM? He said his name is Austin Thomas. I said, will you reach out to their GM? He said he knows him. And I said, listen, this guy has been a head coach for 4 weeks. I said, you reach out to the GM. I'm going to give him some grace. And you let him know that we know what's going on, all right? And if he doesn't cease communication, I'm going to turn him in. And so I really thought that would be the end of it, but it wasn't. So after that, that was 11:45. At 12:10, Jordan communicated to Austin Thomas via text because he was unable to reach him on the phone. And just a few minutes later, at 12:14, they both connected on the phone. The Ole Miss GM, Austin Thomas, and Jordan reiterated our stance one more time. The GM assured Jordan that he had communicated to the agent that he wanted no part of this and that his relationship with Jordan was more important to him than Luke Farrelly. But that Pete Golding just does what he does, quote, unquote. So at 1:30, Sorrells met with Luke face-to-face in his office. And Luke communicated to Jordan and to Ben Boulware that Pete texted him on Wednesday morning, the head coach at Ole Miss, when he was in his 8 a.m. class. And he said, the text message said, I know you're signed. What's the buyout? And he also, Luke said that Coach Golding also texted him a picture of a $1 million contract.
All right, so this goes on for like 5-6 more minutes, and it just gets more devious. Ole Miss ends up saying, according to what Dabo says and claims to have documented in terms of texts and emails and whatnot, that, okay, it's going to be $1 million. Clemson goes back and it's like, hey, you're still talking. You said you weren't going to do it. And they're like, no, we'll stop. And then all of a sudden, Luke gets an updated offer, 2 years, $2 million total. And then there's back and forth. Don't everyone's screwing up. Like, you're screwing up and you say you know that you're screwing up, but you're going to stop screwing up, but you're not stopping screwing up, and you're going. And fast forward, Luke Farrelly transfers to Ole Miss. So, and Dabo says, all right, game on, baby. And they passed everything up to the ACC and SEC commissioners. They passed everything on to the NCAA. So we'll see where it goes. But, I mean, you thought it was the Wild West. It is. But this is proof positive right here of the kind of stuff that's going on. And it's bananas. And I tell you what, the amount of people getting thrown under the bus in all of these texts, I mean, Golding getting thrown under the bus by his GM, everyone else being told like he just does what he does. They acknowledge that they're breaking the rules, but they're going to stop, but they kept going. Like, it's not a good look. Ole Miss had a tremendous year. I was cheering for them, especially after Lane Kiffin went supervillain on them. But man, this looks not so good for Pete Golding and Ole Miss. If what Dabo is saying is true, and Dabo is a man of character, like, I tend to believe what he says.
It not only looks bad for Ole Miss, but I think it looks even worse for the NCAA, because you talk about a wet noodle, spineless organization that really has no control over anything, and you're gonna send your grievances to them. What are they gonna do? You know, but to your point, this goes back to it's the Wild West. You know, if you openly admit saying, hey, I know that we shouldn't be doing this and it breaks whatever rules that there is, but we're going to do it anyways, right, because we really want this guy. And who's there to stop them? Nobody.
Yeah. No, you're right. Well, I mean, they are a wet noodle, because it's gotten to the point where obviously I've gotten my biases, but with some of the stuff that happened with Michigan, you know, pre-Sharon Moore going psycho, terrible coach, now apparently a terrible person too. But before all of that, the old stuff, right? They kept talking about, well, what about this and what about this scenario? And we're going to go after you on this. And you can replace Michigan with anyone. If you're, I mean, let's not use Ohio State. Like, no one's dumb enough to do that. But like someone else, right? Someone that matters.
Like a Notre Dame.
Notre Dame. Perfect. If you're Notre Dame and they're coming, so we'll just take my bias out of it. You're Notre Dame and they're coming after you on some allegations. We're at the point in time where at first the Board of Regents, the athletic director, the president are going to say, what do we do? This is bad. But then your collective response should be sit down at a table, pour some scotch, and then look back at the NCAA and say, yeah, no. How about you go fuck yourself? Like, we're not doing anything you suggest. Like, you can tell us that this is your punishment. We're just going to say, cool. Like, that's what they are now. Like, you cannot take them seriously. People still do, but you do at your own detriment. Like, if you're going that way, it's really on you. Like, well, but the NCAA, who cares what the NCAA is? I was having a business meeting this week. Someone's trying to push this thing through. Like, well, they want to get this done by this time. It's like, I don't care what their timeline is. Is their timeline my timeline? No. Is their punishment my punishment? Which is not different conversation now. We're switching all over the place. No, it's not. So, like, NCAA says this, send them a bag of dicks, the gummy kind.
Yeah, because then it becomes the NCAA rules on something and says you can't do this, and then the next thing you know, they're hit with a lawsuit and it gets tied up, and you still get what you want anyways.
Yeah, exactly. So that's generally where we're at in college football. Again, we're going to talk some playoff stuff, possible expansion, possible not expansion, the ups, the downs, the good, the bad, all that kind of stuff on Thursday. Plenty more things going on there. There's a couple other stories I want to get to today that we're not going to, but let's transition here for a quick second. Quick break from sports, because there is a lot, you guys. There's a lot that happened while we were gone. That's what happens when you take a break over the holidays, which we do every year. This one was just longer because we were doing the new set design and some of that stuff. And we could get into Venezuela. We could get into a bunch of other stuff, and I'm sure you want us to. Again, you can go check out No Party Affiliation. We dove deep into Venezuela on the first episode. So, like, all you got to do is go find the show, find the first episode from last week, and then you can dive in. You're welcome. But let's do talk Greenland here for a second, because this has been something fascinating ever since it came up. And something it's a great idea, something it's a terrible idea, something it's just vintage Trump going after, like, we're going to take this country over. But this video here, I don't know who made it, but it kind of captures the tenets of what happened or what's going to happen in this deal. You know, you had Denmark saying that he brings it up. So just play this clip.
Trump just pulled off what might be his biggest deal yet, and nobody even noticed. For weeks, he's been threatening to take Greenland by force. Europe pushed back hard. Denmark said they'd defend Greenland militarily if needed. NATO allies called it unacceptable. Then today, Trump suddenly backs down, announces a framework deal with Europe. NATO's celebrating. They think they won. But here's what actually just happened. The deal possibly gives America permanent sovereignty over small pockets of Greenlandic land. We're talking military bases on Danish territory forever. Then there's the Golden Dome, Trump's missile defense system. Reports say Denmark might be letting America build it there permanently. And the kicker? Mineral rights. Greenland's got the world's 8th largest rare earth reserves. The deal possibly hands America access to mine them. No expiration date. When asked how long this lasts, Trump said one word: forever. So Europe thought they stopped an invasion. Instead, they possibly just gave Trump military bases, mining rights, and missile systems, all permanent. He threatened war for weeks, then called this a compromise. Europe thinks they won, but Trump might have just locked down the Arctic without spending a single dollar on purchase. This looked like his retreat. It's actually his perfect victory.
So So a plug for TikTok there. So very art of the deal, right? How this all worked out. And again, I'm not weighing in necessarily on whether I think it's better that we're doing it this way or that we're doing it at all. But when you take a step back from it and you look at how Trump did it, it's very traditional Trump in how he negotiated things, how he did things. And he gets in the end what he wants. He pushes Denmark back down, pushes other people in NATO and in the EU back down, and says, look, we're going to get mineral rights because we need that. We're expanding. That's a big part, obviously, of what's happening in Venezuela is the oil. We're getting mineral rights here. We're getting mineral rights still in Ukraine, separate topic, but we're getting that, and then we're getting the ability to play spaces here. We're going to work you into the Golden Dome when that all goes up. You get some protection, and maybe the biggest thing of all is he gets a massive FU to Russia and China and expands kind of the national security footprint or the perimeter, if you will. So I think it's interesting how it shook out.
Yeah, it's one of those where, oh, look, Trump failed again, but actually, did he? I mean, because the way that I take this is kind of like a Guantanamo Bay situation. I mean, how long have we had Guantanamo? Since what, 61 or so?
Sounds right, roughly there.
And I could be wrong, but I think there's another base, or is it just the one base in Cuba? I'm not sure. I was under the impression that there might be other ones that don't get as much publicity as Guantanamo does. But to me, of course, I'm going to go back to the conspiracy sort of side of things. If you take the time, and I'm not a total flat earther. I'm just, I'd like to consider myself to be sort of, conspiracy curious maybe. And so when all this went down with Greenland, I was, like a lot of people thinking, what do we want with this frozen sliver of land and this and that? But if you take a look at a flat Earth map and see where Greenland is in relation to the United States, and also see where it is in relation to all the naval bases that that Russia has up near the Arctic Circle, it all makes perfect sense. From a strategic standpoint.
No, it does. Well, I think regardless of some of the tidbits you brought up there, I think it makes sense from a strategic standpoint. And I'm not dismissing what you brought up, but even if you take that, set it aside, I think it does. Here's the thing. I'm not for forever wars. We talk about that all the time. There's been enough bloodshed, enough money spent, enough people on our side, they actually hate us, making tons of money on the backs of people that are actually out there doing stuff. But I also understand, and I think everyone should, that there's you reach certain points where you do need to expand influence, expand reach, expand into other areas to do things, and I think that's a lot of how Trump's looking at this, Venezuela, some of the other things. We need this, and here's why. We need this, and here's why. And it could be national security, it could be resources, oil, gas, minerals, whatever. It could be a combination of all of them. It could be a partnership with said country on different fronts. That's some economic stuff. But at some point you have to do that, and then everyone thinks it's because it's Trump and because it's America in 2026 and we're divided, that it's we're going and taking a country or conquering them. If that was the case, that's a different story. But also, if that was the case, that's kind of how the whole entire history of the world has worked. If you want something or need something, that's how you do it. And that, by the way, is different than creating a scene to create emotions and momentum for a war, and then creating huge bank accounts for other people while that war is fought in a different place. There's different types of conflict, right? And that's kind of anyone who thinks I'm being hypocritical and saying any support you put towards this with Greenland or that with Venezuela is in stark contrast to what you think about wars, the war in Afghanistan, for example, or the possibility of a war, or our involvement, not the possibility, our involvement in the war in Ukraine. It's no. These are different. Right. And the same. They will, the other stuff will bleed in, the nation building, the security contracts, that will bleed in. But the way they're being approached, I guess there's some differences.
Right. And, I brought up Russia, as far as being a buffer between Russia and their naval bases. Well, what if it's not Russia? What if the perceived threat is actually the European Union? It still makes strategic sense to have that sort of buffer there with Greenland, in my opinion.
Yeah. No, I think so. I loved this tweet. Now, this tweet doesn't actually apply anymore because this was put out, I think, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, whenever the break was, during the break. And it was a dude talking about if Greenland became a part of America and they were becoming citizens. You can see it on the screen there. I'll read. Okay, it says, congratulations. Excuse me, I started too late. Dear Greenland, it looks as though you could become Americans any day now. Again, that's not part of the current plan. Congratulations, but beware. It is not a title you should take lightly. We welcome you into the fold as our countrymen, but there are some things you should know before you run out and buy a Camaro and a Kid Rock t-shirt. Not a bad start, though.
Yeah.
The following guide is my gift to you, sort of a Cliff's Notes version on the greatest country the world has ever known. Enjoy and hope to see you soon. Man, ChatGPT just killed Cliff Notes.
Right?
So enjoy and you'll see you soon. Here are the points. You speak English now, and only English. We are literally better than everyone else. Amen. Danish isn't a culture, it's a pastry. Sounds quite tasty right now, if I don't mind saying it. All of our states are different, but they're also kind of all the same. You'll see. We don't eat fucking whale meat. We eat pigs and cows and sometimes birds. Football means football. The other sport, in finger parens or parentheses, is soccer. Speed limits are suggestions. It's so tough teaching my kid to drive right now because it's all do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah. But Dad, I see you going 30 over.
Yeah. Yeah, but Daddy doesn't follow any rules. Like the rules are there for you.
You want to pass the test, you got to pass those rules.
Yes, that's right. Monday. It's Monday.
What?
Yeah. It was supposed to be in December, but we're getting anyways, it's a long story. Okay, speed limits are suggestions. Again, Disneyland isn't cool anymore. Don't go there. All pedos. Tacos get lettuce, tomatoes, cheese, and sour cream. Go to Mexico if you want onions, limes, and cilantro. I do kind of like those.
Yeah, those are really good, though.
I mean, I can go both ways.
That one we can X out with a marker.
Yes. Yeah. Texas is technically part of America, but we kind of let them do their own thing. We have like thousands of kinds of beer. Just roll with it. Barbecuing means actually smoking meat, not just grilling. That's true. New York is for pizza. Chicago is for hot dogs. And crime. I guess both of them crime.
Yeah.
Do not, and I repeat, do not dip your fries in mayonnaise. Any
just plain mayonnaise.
Any dispute here? Not mayonnaise and ketchup.
I'm very finicky about mayonnaise. I don't think mayonnaise belongs on French fries.
I agree. Okay, I want to give you guys an opportunity. If it's like,
well, I mean, like a garlic aioli, would that be different? Because
that's
it looks,
aioli.
Yeah, but it looks just like mayonnaise.
Yes.
Nope. I'm holding strong.
Oh, you haven't had my garlic. I'm gonna rub garlic aioli all over you.
I look forward to it. Just like ketchup doesn't belong on a hot dog.
Ketchup doesn't belong on a hot dog?
No.
On its own, you don't like, but even together, you don't like it.
No.
Okay.
Ketchup that has no business being on a hot dog, even if it's paired with relish or mustard.
See, I'm a ketchup, mustard, and diced onions guy. But I can see that. I if I only could choose one, I'm only choosing mustard.
I only like ketchup for like certain meals, and that's it. And it's never by itself. It's always with like mayonnaise or something else. I don't like it straight.
Okay. Well, I feel like we've accomplished a lot.
But brat gets spicy mustard.
Yes. Yeah.
That's it. And onions or peppers, and
or
that's
kraut.
fine. Yeah. Or kraut. Yeah, kraut. Yeah, that's fine.
It's good for the gut.
I'm not a fan of kraut, but yeah.
Okay, take a road trip. You don't like pickled things.
I know. I'm branching out.
Okay.
I'm trying new things.
Yeah.
Trying it out.
Well, we'll get
sauerkraut is still a no, a hard no.
Okay.
Hard pass.
Take a road trip. Nothing like an American road trip. That's good advice. If you're driving and need to eat or take a dump, find a Buc-ee's. Going to be weird as hell at first, but you'll get it. That's wise. Our politics are a bit fraught at the moment, but don't worry. The president is sorting all that out. Guns. We have like 400 million guns. Get a gun. Wise advice. Yes, our healthcare is expensive, but you might actually get to see a doctor. It's true. We do have our own problems, but the wait lists are getting longer. The rest of the world is just stupid. Do not trust the media. Just follow me on X if you need to know what's going on if you're fortunate enough to join us. Do not apologize for America's actions ever. We will talk about California later. It's complicated. Really hope you guys make it in. Best club in the world. P.S. You have a lot less paid vacation now. Okay, that's pretty good post by I think I follow him now, but that's Drunk Repub. Well said. Shares a lot of the sentiments that I think we agree with here, outside of mayonnaise for Tom and a couple other outlines.
He gets it, and I think if every is it Greenlandian or what would they be called, Tom? Do you know?
I don't know. I think it is that. It's not. It's not a Greenlander.
Greenlander, maybe.
A greenie.
I'll look it up. But if they had to read that, if that was the first thing they read, and they read it, and they're like, okay, yeah, I'm going to follow. It's a good start.
Yeah,
it's a good start.
Well, and it definitely for liberals who read that or hear that, or someone from a different country who doesn't get American culture. Like you guys sound like assholes. Yeah, we kind of are. But like we worked ourselves into this. Like we earned our asshole status. Like we get to have these conversations where we talk about like, should we take that country over? And again, I'm not advocating for this or that, but like we got ourselves to this position where we can do it. So you can either be a part of it or not. You can resist it, and you can go do. There's protests in Minneapolis, New York. There's all sorts of go do that too. All right, back to sports we go. Conference championship. Greenlanders.
That's epic.
What did we say?
Greenlandians.
Ours were terrible. Yeah. That's terrible too.
Greenlanders.
So conference championship weekend come and gone. Tough week. And I still feel bad for Bo Nix. I was torn this weekend because Stephon Diggs is a locker room culture or cancer. And I don't like Sean Payton because he did the skull chant in front of us. So it's like, I literally want the worst for you now. But I did like both quarterbacks. I like Bo Nix. I like Drake May. Bo obviously goes out late in the divisional game with fractured ankle. Jared Stidham has to step in. But at any rate, conference championship weekend in the books. We got a Patriots-Seahawks game. Lots of conversation in the Twin Cities right now. Not as loud as the riots as, why did we let Sam go? Because now he's in the Super Bowl. I'm happy for Sammy D. So that game's coming up. Any early predictions, Tom? I know you're a Drake May guy.
Yes. All my predictions are wrong. So I kind of feel like everybody talks about how right now at this point that the Patriots, they're the worst team to get in the playoffs in a long time. They're the worst team to, advance in the playoffs. They're the worst team that's ever reached the Super Bowl. I kind of feel like everything, the whole sort of, the stage is set for them to be, they're the worst team to ever win a Super Bowl. So I feel like in that regard of all storytelling and production that, my heart is going to be with Drake May and hoping that he does get a Super Bowl victory. But just looking at the teams, I don't think that, I think Seattle's defense is in a class of their own. I think Sam's playing really well. And I don't see that team being stoppable by anybody.
Yeah, they've looked great in the playoffs. They really have. Sam's been phenomenal. New England's not the team that some people are saying the worst team to get to. I think they're a good team. I think Vrabel's a hell of a coach, and I think he gets a lot of credit for the turnaround that happened has been really impressive. You think about it. There's a lot of people like, I'm so sick of seeing the Patriots in the Super Bowl. It's like, well, the Patriots have sucked for 6 years, you guys. They had a dynasty for sure, and I still get that sentiment. At any rate, it'll be a good game. We got a couple weeks. We'll talk.
But it's also good to see them without Belichick and Brady doing good.
Yeah, they're doing well.
And I mean, come on, look who Sam Darnold's grandfather is. That's pretty cool. There being the Marlboro Man, and then also having the name Dick Hammer.
Yeah, and that name is so phenomenal. God, so good. We've got a meme for it on Thursday. We're still going to do memes, so I
was going to ask you, are we still doing Meme-tastic?
Still doing Meme-tastic.
All right.
Hell yeah, we
I'm
are.
glad I didn't delete.
We might have some different vibes in the memes a little bit, but we're still going to do it. Okay, so some other NFL news. Apparently, if you make the playoffs 8 out of 9 seasons that you're a head coach, you too still can be fired. Sean McDermott let go in Buffalo.
That's crazy.
Which was crazy. 98-50 over his career. He 5 AFC titles, won the division. Now, did they ever win the big game? No. Did they get to, they've had Josh Allen. So there's instances where in the past, like, you get so close, but you need someone else to come in and take it over the hump. Who they brought in was their resident offense coordinator, Joe Brady. That was just announced. 5-year deal for him. He's a hell of a football coach. He was on a short list for a lot of head coaching jobs at the college level. Certainly someone who was talked about at the NFL level. I think that he will do really well there. He did awesome with Burrow in college. He and Josh Allen have a great connection. So I think that's going to work.
Do you think someone's going to scoop him up, though?
McDermott?
Yeah.
Not right away. But it's a wild thing. I bring it up because it's like, man, Sean is a hell of a football coach. Like, you counted, the Bills were on everyone's short list for the last however many years to be in the AFC Championship and possibly represent the AFC in the Super Bowl. And he's out. He's done a good job. Again, I think Joe will do well there, but I was shocked when that dropped across my phone. I was like, wait, what?
I remember watching it must have been like 8 years ago or something like that. It was something on the Bills, and they were talking, like, the GM and the owner, they're sitting down talking. They're like, we are in the rebuild process in 8 years or so. Watch out. And what has happened? They've gotten better and better.
Well, they've been fun. They made the playoffs 8 of the last 9 years.
I'm saying, like, they never said, oh, we're going to win it. They said we're going to rebuild. And now I feel like they've built this, and now they're going to pull it out. Like, but what? Maybe they see something we don't.
Pull out around.
Yeah, we don't. Yeah.
Well, that brings up my question that I have about, McDermott's replacement being the offensive coordinator. So it seems to me that Allen is more in line with the OC than he was the head coach if they're going to put him in that position and not shop for somebody else. So, I mean, how much does this change have to do with Allen and McDermott's relationship?
Yeah, I don't know. Hard to tell. It was a nice situation for them, though, having someone like Joe Brady, who is highly sought after, great offensive mind. If maybe you're not seeing eye to eye, maybe it's, hey, what if we could just get a little bit better? And Joe's being held down by Sean and in some of the calls that he wants to make. Whatever, who knows? I do think they're going to be fine. I was, as a Vikings fan who lives a cursed life, the Bills live the same life. I was hoping they'd do well. I love Josh Allen. Hopefully they have some success next year. Hopefully not as much as we do, but that was an interesting move. Then Jesse Minter, former Michigan defense coordinator. You got Mike McDaniel in Seattle, all from the Harbaugh coaching tree. Jesse Minter was the D coordinator in Michigan, then under Harbaugh in San Diego. He's going back to Baltimore, where he's coached before, and will be the head coach out there. I think he's a great hire too. In terms of offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator hires, those are probably two of the best that you can grab. And then selfishly, I'm thrilled that Brian Flores didn't get the job in either Baltimore or Pittsburgh, because he gets to be the defense coordinator in Minnesota again. So that's that. Then we just got to go.
I'm just going to say, I think that's a great hire. Like he talked about, he comes from the Harbaugh coaching tree, but he also comes from the coaching tree of his own father, Rick.
Yes.
And I had the opportunity to, be around Rick when he was at Notre Dame, and you could just tell that dude is a football coach. Yeah. And whatever, that his son Jesse got from him, I'm sure is deeply embedded into his blood, and I think the Ravens made a great choice with that pick.
Yeah, I think so too. He's an absolute stud. I was kind of hoping, I don't even remember when it all went down, and when we were on break or not yet. But prior to hiring Whittingham in Ann Arbor, which I think was an awesome hire, the coordinators he's brought in, the staff, the retention of the players was amazing. But one of the guys, before I didn't, a lot of people didn't think he had just retired, right? He stepped down as the coach in Utah. And so you didn't really necessarily consider him. He was on the list, but was like, I don't know if we have a shot. As I was hoping that Jesse could be the guy, come back home. But he's going to do awesome in Baltimore. He's a great coach. Okay, we've got to touch on this. We'll get to Bad Bunny and the Super Bowl stuff later, maybe Thursday. But I want to just bring this up because there's been lots of debate and discussion, not just on this show, across the country, throughout the sports world, on the whole Sheduer Sanders saga. They bring in Dylan Gabriel, then they draft two because they're pressured to. That's my take. Sheduer Sanders. They have the battle. They had like 86 people in the quarterback room to start in Cleveland this year. Have the battle. By the end of the year, Sheduer's playing. Didn't play terrible. Didn't play super well either. And as is the case every year, you've got quarterbacks who are selected to be in the Pro Bowl and then can't play because they're in the Super Bowl, right? or they're injured or whatever happens, right? There's things that happen. Then you get alternates thrown in there. So it's announced yesterday. I don't know if there's a tweet that's come through this week, an X post, whatever, that surprised me and not surprised me at the same time as much as this one. So it's announced that Sheduer Sanders is being added to the AFC Pro Bowl roster. And keep in mind, put up that Well, put up the graphic. Yeah. Let's look at the stats here. So Trevor Lawrence led the Jaguars to a remarkable year, 13-4, as you can see. Into the playoffs, awesome turnaround, great. Kudos to Liam Cohen, too, and the coaching staff there. Should have made the first round of the roster, in my view, for the Pro Bowl. But then you get to the point where it's like, okay, he didn't make it. Oh, this guy can't play. We got to add someone. I know. Let's add Sheduer Sanders, who threw 7 touchdowns to 10 interceptions, had a 68 passer rating, and lost 4 more games than he won. Trevor Lawrence threw over 4,000 yards, 38 touchdowns to 12 interceptions, 13-4 record. Please, somebody, for the love of God, make this make sense to me. And it's not because I live in Jacksonville and I like the Jags as my second team. Go, Tom.
All right, I'll make it make sense for you. It's a TV show. That's what we're doing. We're producing a TV show. If I was producing, if I was an NFL producer and I was producing the Pro Bowl, Sheduer Sanders would be my selection. I wouldn't have Trevor Lawrence in there because he doesn't get nearly the amount of talk on sports media like Sheduer Sanders does. It's the perfect, this is real quarterbacks of the NFL right now is what we're running into. And also, let's look at the Pro Bowl. It's flag football. Nobody cares.
No, no one does. That's a totally fair point. Like,
right. Part of the cachet of being, an all-pro really doesn't matter anymore. Once you've taken the pads and the helmet off and you're just out there on vacation, just having like a pickup game in your backyard, it really doesn't matter. But what I find, I'm always one of these who's very skeptical about the way things are going in pop culture, especially sports, now that we've introduced gambling to the whole mix of everything. And then also ESPN's commitment to just having TV shows when it comes to sports. And so part of me looks at, the NFL and the NBA as all sort of kayfabe like you have in professional wrestling. So to me, it's very coincidental that on the same day that he's named to the Pro Bowl, that there's also trade rumors about Sheduer. So I start putting 2 and 2 together, and it's like, okay, you're going to take the 144th pick, who has gotten more press than anybody else who's been selected at that position. You're going to start a rumor about a trade. So what do you need now? You need to showcase what he can do, and what better venue than a flag football event.
Right.
So
and a quarterback challenge. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're looking at the Combine Part 2. Yeah. And that's what I see happening with Sheduer, because right now, like it or not, if you're, kind of a passive viewer of pedestrian viewer of the NFL, you think that Sheduer is a lot better than he actually is. And so now, if I'm at NFL headquarters or at ESPN or whoever is doing the Pro Bowl, I want to get eyeballs on that product. So from a promoter standpoint, it totally makes sense to put him in there, because now you're going to have all these, Sheduer sexuals who are watching and going, see, he should be, starter and pick the franchise. That's. To me, it's all hype at this point. It's like, we've got the Royal Rumble coming up on Saturday. This, right, to me, is the NFL version of the Royal Rumble.
Royal Rumble's going to be fun. We'll talk more about it on Thursday. But, man, one of the most fun PLEs of the year. I know some of you guys aren't into wrestling. We get a kick out of it around these parts. And Royal Rumble is one of the most fun ones for sure. You're right. I mean, it's 100%. Your response is right. I agree. That's what this is. It's the disappointment of it all. Like, you're comparing apples and oranges. You can't hold those two up and look at them and be like, who would you pick? Because that's not how it works anymore. The obvious answer would be like, I take Goldilocks over here, Sunshine, who had a hell of a season, looked really good. This guy had a very subpar season and comes with a ton of baggage and drama. I just hate that we're at that point. Kevin Stefanski out in Cleveland. Tough tough job to fill there, especially right now with all this drama.
Well, also too, where's the Pro Bowl at this year?
I think it's
San Francisco.
No, the Super Bowl's in San Francisco.
I know.
The Pro Bowl is, I think it's been in Orlando late. I don't know where it is. No one cares. Because as Tom said, it didn't matter even when they tackled back in the day. The game doesn't matter. It should be like college football where you're an All-American. You're a first team All-Pro, second team All-Pro. You get a certificate, maybe some other little trophy or medallion, and you move on. Because if you're a coach or a GM or an owner, I don't want them playing, even in a flag football game, which is gay as hell. I don't want them playing in that either. You can blow an ACL out just as easy doing it that way. So I think the whole thing is dumb. The fact that he's there, though, just...
It is going to be at the same place as the Super Bowl.
It is?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So who do you think would bring in more ticket sales, like Tom is saying? There, Trevor Lawrence or Sheduer Sanders?
Well, it's not just the ticket sales. It's also the eyeballs on it, because there's going to be people, in sports media who aren't the Sheduer sexuals who are just going to check it out so they can come up with a column saying he's not that good. We've been telling you. And you know what? Again, as much as I don't really care for him personally, this isn't the doing of Sheduer Sanders. He's just a pawn in all of this. But all the executives know that he's going to be the one to get the most eyeballs. It would be like having Stone Cold Steve Austin at WrestleMania going against Gangrel, and everybody would be like, "What? Why Gangrel? What's going on here?" And just because Vince wanted to push Gangrel for some reason.
Yeah. Great poll, by the way. That was a weird thing. Like, Vince, he's terrible. He's terrible.
I know. I can't remember the name of the guy, but Vince had pulled this guy in from another wrestling promotion. I want to say near the close of 2000, who was going to be the nemesis to The Undertaker. And he wasn't like an overt Christian wrestler, but he dressed in all white, and he kind of had that aura to him.
Yeah.
And had a couple of matches, and he was like, 2 and done. And that's what this kind of reminds me of.
Yeah. Wasn't good. We got Edge out of that, who was good, because he ended up joining that faction. And anyways, that's all I got to say on Sheduer. The last thing I'll say is you're right. Like it's that, but it's also they want the controversy and they want the hate back and forth online because it's a topic that everyone's very opinionated on. No one's opinionated on whether Trevor Lawrence is good or Trevor Lawrence is good. Is he as good as his lifetime record and accomplishments in high school and college, paint him to be? Maybe not, but he's steady. He's not terrible. And he's not controversial whatsoever. He's a good kid. He's a good, young football player. Everyone is very divided on this issue. So he's there. That everyone's got such strong opinions. And I think that's a big part of what's going on with this for sure. All right, folks, glad to be back with you again. Sorry for the delay. Some of the construction taking long. We got other shows starting. We got all sorts of crap going on. But it's all good stuff. Excited to be here. Make sure you hit that like button if you have not. If you're here for the first time, please make sure you hit the follow button, whichever program you're on. There's a lot of places. If I read you the list of 10, 12 places we're going right now, it would take a long time. But wherever you are, make sure you're following there, subscribed, and pass this along to some friends. Let them know we'll be back Thursday. We look forward to seeing you then. Be safe, be smart, be free.
We got balls and banter.